Welcome to the Salem Civic Center in Salem, Virginia, where a men's basketball champion has been crowned, most likely for the final time. What a game, folks. It ends up being the Prairie Wolves of Nebraska Wesleyan, whose second ever trip in program history ends with their first ever national championship in what ended up being a game we told you don't even pay attention to what happened the previous night. Yeah, definitely don't pay attention to that. I don't even expect that game. As the celebration continues for the Prairie Wolves of Nebraska Wesleyan, who upend the Titans of Oshkosh. I'm Dave McHugh, now joined by Pat Coleman, our cohort Ryan Scott doing his duties behind the scenes. We may hear from a number of people here on this post-game show of Hoopsville Courtside Live. May hear some from the other broadcasters who called the game. We sometimes kind of dabble, see if we can get some of the winners. We don't want to make any promises, but we'll do our best somewhat down the road.
Total freelance, total just putting this show together on the fly. Second time here for Nebraska Wesleyan Salem, 5th Division III Final Four. Some of them so far back in ancient history that they predate so many things, but they did not predate, for example, Cooper Cook's dad, who was just mentioned in the on the post game out there. Cooper Cook, the most outstanding player of the Division III National Championship. His dad played in the Final Four for Nebraska Wesleyan. Two teams that played in the third place game. His team comes away with the Walnut and Bronze.
Can I take credit to telling Cooper that he has one-ups his dad? Yeah,
I don't think
we
so.
talked about it in the interview, and it's wonderful for him. His dad and a trustee now with that school. His family mostly has gone there. I think one sibling actually went to another institution, if I've got the story correct. And Cooper actually wanted to follow that sibling and not play basketball.
Who knew?
Wow. Cooper.
How things
Cook,
worked out.
the most outstanding player. And, Pat, one thing that blew me away the whole weekend watching him, and I don't think I saw the Nebraska Wesleyan everyone thought we would see. I'll say that. I think the high-octane, really efficient offense, I don't think we saw. They were efficient, don't get me wrong, but not at the level like the 93 octane. I think we saw 89 octane from this team. But Cooper Cook never seemed to be up. He never seemed to be down. He didn't have a facial expression. I said on the broadcast a few times, it felt like the guy who's just in the gym. He's just taking his shots. He's practicing. Everything's here in his head. He's not talking to you necessarily because that's not how he plays. Really interesting to watch.
Yeah, well, I mean,
not emotional, I guess, is the best way to say it.
No, I would agree with you, and obviously he's not the one guy who's a senior on this team, but he's one of the guys he's got that veteran experience. He's got that calm, and today he had shots that fell, 5 of 9 from the floor, 4 of 6 from downtown. And just a fantastic all-around game, and a game where, in a tournament where you could probably put several people in your most outstanding player spot on your ballot and make a great case for any of them.
Yeah, ultimately I went
even with Ben Boots.
Yeah, absolutely. I had Ben Boots on that what if. Cooper Cook was my choice unless the Titans won, then it was going to be Boots. It's interesting because Boots, yesterday didn't really have a great game. He and Noon were there, but they weren't the biggest reason. Favorite certainly was the biggest reason that they advanced. But you had talked about it in the pregame and even yesterday about how the Titans kind of have a couple guys here who play on this night, then a couple guys here who show up. And it was Boots who didn't really – I don't want to say he didn't show up yesterday. He did.
I think they took what was given to them, right?
Yeah. And what was really interesting is they shot really well in the first half. Both teams, by the way, identical stats. Something you just don't see in a normal basketball game, let alone a championship. But flip it back, and in the second half, he and Noon both came out to start the second half, and they weren't there. It was the shots were slightly long or slightly short. They were clearly off, and you could see in the look of their eye, they were a little bit rattled by that. They were trying to understand, okay, where's my shot, and should I keep shooting?
Yeah. They were 10 of 16 in the first half. At one point, it was then 14 of 26 in the second half, and then Oshkosh missed 5 in a row. Nebraska Wesleyan goes up almost by double digits at one point, and then Boots came back and hit these two tremendous long-range shots, one of which had to be from 30 feet.
Yeah.
Tied the game up at 72, and you thought it was going to be then a heavyweight battle to the end, and it turned out it wasn't. It was the final 6 points went to Nebraska Wesleyan for the title.
Oh, by the way, these two teams combined for a record of shots made or three-pointers made
31
in a championship game or any game in the championship weekend. And it didn't feel forced. You look at the final stats, which I had here a moment ago.
And the screen, if you like.
Thank you. That'll help me. 52% from the floor for Nebraska Wesleyan, an insane 64% from beyond the arc. One of those rare times where the three-point shooting's better than the floor shooting. Reminiscent slightly to what they did against Whitman, though they shot far better from the floor overall in that game, but they also got more shots inside. Not a lot of turnovers in this game. We had more blocks than we had steals combined in this game. By the way, back to Cook, set the single season record for blocked shots in a game or in a season to go along with his career record that he already has. By the way, I think he's coming back.
All right.
Yeah.
There's a year available for him?
So he's already shattering records along with the rest of his teammates. It was actually a really well-played game. I didn't find any bad parts of the game. I don't think either. Again, another game, too, where someone just won it.
Right.
No one lost it. Someone just flat out won the game.
Let's go back to the end of the first half, for example, too. Oshkosh hitting on all cylinders, right? At one point, Boots was 3 for 4 early on. Noon was like 2 for 3 early on. And then, Nebraska Wesleyan ends that first half on a big run as well with the bucket with 1 second left to go in the half.
Yeah.
Goes into the
Big
locker
shot.
room up by 2.
And some people wanted a call on that. I know the Titans bench was screaming, I think, for a travel / carrying violation, and I thought it was a really executed play by Simowitz. The ball bounced high on him, but he kind of kept his hand away from the ball and allowed it to come back and dribble on its own before he got in there. It was a headsy play considering the clock's running down. That's almost panic mode time.
Yeah.
And then buries a shot in the face of Boots.
Yeah, and that's he was the one who had the shot at the end of the first half, with about the same time that he had the shot at the end of the round of 16 game against Platteville. I think these guys are all heady guys and they're smart guys.
He also had a very key shot to put him up 2 possessions, 10 feet in the lane late in the game as well.
Yeah.
The ball ended up in his hands at key times, even though I wouldn't say he was the star of this team this weekend. He was one of the guys who certainly helped, but Shimowitz wasn't exactly the guy you turn to necessarily to get that big shot, yet he ended up coming up with it.
Yeah, these are all guys, and Ryan Scott and I were talking about it during the game. There are going to be so many guys from this game who we're going to have to look at for preseason All-American honors next year.
Might as well just put our heads to the wall.
Who are on our list of guys who are just below the line this year. It's you have to figure out what we're going to do. There's so much talent.
And we're getting so used to offenses, too, that go deep on their bench. Even the NCAA tournament, when you tend to shorten your bench somewhat, you're used to seeing teams who go 8, 9, 10, 11 guys deep, even if it's just for spells at a time. Nebraska Wesleyan played no more than 7 guys. Fascinating enough, Hall comes in for a handful of minutes last night, has a huge night tonight. On the flip side, for Oshkosh, who only went 8 deep, Vlotho, who didn't come in until kind of late in the game last night, comes in early and has an insane first half. Fortunately, couldn't continue it in the second. It's amazing, again, both teams had guys who just found their spots and delivered.
And on the flip side, we talked so much about what Adam Fravert did last night, and then he was in foul trouble early and picked up foul number 3 in the first half. Didn't play very much in the second half before he picked up number 4, and then was just relegated to offense-defense switches, trying to get him in on offense, get anything out of him, and they really almost literally got nothing out of him.
As they are, I believe, are starting to cut down the nets on the far net, and we don't have a camera that zooms in necessarily there, but maybe we can. Keaton can give me a little bit of a wide shot. Yeah, that's called on-camera producing.
Get big GoPro shot right there.
Yeah, I wish I had that camera shot, but hats off. Again, no one lost, and that's what I think is great about this is that no one lost these games. I did, when I go to select my 5 for tournament player, I left someone off from Ramapo only because I didn't feel like necessarily they had anybody that stood out. I made sure I put Jake Ross on there. Otherwise, it was these 2 teams.
I don't think Jake Ross got on, but I did.
I don't know if he did or didn't.
I wasn't able to hear it. It sounded like they were not going to get him on there.
And I don't have a problem with that necessarily because I think these 2 teams this weekend put on a show. These 2 teams had players. Though interesting enough, Fravert, and again, when we talk about, hey, he's great here, but he has an off night, and I'm not saying off night in a bad way, but Fravert had 1 point. I think he finished with 1 point in this game.
Yep.
kind of a ho-hum game from him, but defensively and rebounding, he was very key too. If he wasn't in there crashing the boards, obviously they had Flynn as well. Really nicely executed game from both teams, I thought, tonight.
It really was. I agree with you on execution. Let's take a second to go down final stats.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to start real quick. I'm not going to do the full Pat Coleman final stat box. That's too much. But Boots with the game-high 24 for Oshkosh, 6 of 15 from three-point range, key in that, 4 assists. Charlie Noon with 14 points, 4 of 12 from downtown, 5 assists to lead the team. Whitchow with 12, all from beyond the arc. Flynn with 10. Flynn had a solid night. Velotha with the 9 that Dave mentioned earlier. Connor Duax with a pair. Fravert with 1. On the opposite side, very balanced scoring from Nebraska Wesleyan, as it has been all season. Cooper Cook with 16, Nate Shimenez 15, 14 for Hiller. Hiller with the game-winning basket. If you had a game-winning RBI like we did in baseball, he had the go-ahead basket with 2:17 to go, and they never trailed after that. Wells, Ross, and Garver with 11 apiece. D3Hoops.com All-America, Ryan Garver.
Nebraska Wesleyan finished on a 6-0 run over the last 2:17, and Wisconsin Oshkosh, unfortunately, didn't hit any points in the final 2:52. Not that, yes, that decided the game, but that's not the story of this game. Both teams, again, when you're shooting well into the 40s and above overall, these two teams played very nice basketball. Well, heck of a way to finish off the tournament here in Salem this year.
And a good showcase of Division III basketball,
yeah,
too.
Absolutely. And yes, one was ranked, one was barely ranked. I think that just shows that there's so much talent and so many good teams in Division III.
This year, for sure.
This year especially. Next year is going to be insane. We'll talk about that more down the road, because I think next year we're going to a lot of these teams coming back with talent that now has experience, plus the teams who are going to enter the conversation. I might just go crawl into a hole right now, considering how long my ballots may take in the future to put together.
You have fun with that.
We'll take just a couple notes. We'll take a break here in a moment. We've got some guys we'll talk to about their thoughts on the game. Also, we'll try and stall a little bit to see if we can get winning members on the team. Or on the broadcast. It's not always guaranteed. It's a hit or miss kind of thing. As they continue to cut down the nets in Salem. We are at the Salem Civic Center. It's Hoopsville Courtside post-game of the National Championship live from Salem, Virginia. We'll take a break with more coming back here on D3Hoops.com.
They have dreamed of this moment since childhood. The perfect shot. The key rebound. The game-clinching basket. Winning a national championship. The NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Championship, March 16th and 17th in Salem, Virginia. Be there. Visit ncaa.com/tickets today.
Cheer for the stumbles, the he shoulda had that's, and the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
Welcome back to Hoopsville Courtside Live, the national championship game here in Division III at the Salem Civic Center. I'm Dave McHugh alongside Pat Coleman of D3Hoops.com. And now Introducing one of the individuals who will be in charge of this championship moving forward as of pretty much this moment, or when we walk out of this building, the Salem Civic Center. It is Nathan Dennison, part of the Fort Wayne contingent. You run, if memory serves, you've told me a few times, I apologize, but you kind of run things from the Civic Center's point of view, I don't remember, Coliseum?
The arena.
The arena, yeah. We'll give it lots of names. You let us know which
correct.
one sticks.
That's correct. It's the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum.
That's right.
In Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm one of the senior management team there, and was involved in the bid process in 2016 to gain the events for the next 4 years.
There's a trophy walking by. I just wanted to make room so it could be seen on camera.
Nice big trophy. That can always go in my car if they ever wanted to. You told me the other day when I saw you, probably was Thursday at this point, that you guys were going to soak up everything like a sponge, and I have watched you guys been all over this building. I think you've been in parts of the building. I haven't even been in parts of. What was your take of this experience? I know you guys are very much looking forward to this, and you really wanted to learn as much as you could.
Yeah, it's been a great opportunity. Two colleagues from Visit Fort Wayne, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, came with me for this trip, and we have really basically just tried to absorb every possible element of this championship event, from the back of the house to the court to everything in between, media, learning some of the folks involved from a national perspective. We've been able to gain some relationships with members of the national committee, which will help us in the long run. We just wanted to take in everything so that we can go back and carry on this great tradition that's been so long in the making, and just it's all about the kids. We understand that. This is the pinnacle of their basketball careers for the most of them.
You've picked up the most important thing.
Yeah,
it is. Absolutely. It's the kids, it's the student athletes, it's their family, it's their parents. Because for some of these kids, this is the last time their parents get to see them compete.
That is true.
After what some could be a long career, and it's all about that. So we want to make sure that we carry on the tradition that Salem has carried so well for a long time. Yeah.
Nathan, describe the Coliseum for us and, and its amenities and such.
Sure. The original arena was opened in 1952, so it is an old building. However, over the last, I would say, since 2002, when the arena itself was expanded and renovated, we've probably spent in the range of $50 to $60 million to renovate and keep it a state-of-the-art facility. It is for basketball, maximum capacity is close to 12,000. However, we have curtaining systems that create a 4,500 to 5,000 seat basketball configuration that's really, really nice. It's an older bowl type configuration, so it feels like you're right on top of the action. We have an ECHL hockey team as a tenant. We have an NBA G League team as a tenant. They're an affiliate of the Indiana Pacers. We also have a Division I college basketball program as a tenant. So
you found some dates, though.
I was going to say, plus everything else you guys probably do.
Somehow we found some dates, and fitting Disney on Ice there in March too.
Those are important dates.
Will be great. Will be great. So we're really, really excited. We're putting together a very strong local organizing committee full of local corporate input, and we're just really excited about getting this 365 days going, and the countdown is on. The Coliseum, we're Northeast Indiana's event center. So Northeast Indiana is about, Fort Wayne is 2 hours north of Indianapolis. It's about 3 hours east of Chicago, 2 hours from Toledo. So we're really right in the middle of Detroit, Columbus, Indy, Chicago, really right in the middle of all of it.
I know that's near Manchester for reference sake. They're the host school. Hope would be maybe, about an hour and a half
Hope would
north?
be about an hour and a half north,
So just to give everybody an idea.
Trine is about a 45 to 50-minute drive north of Fort Wayne. Defiance is right there, too. So we have a lot of small college basketball for the NAIA level, the Division III level, around our area. So as you probably heard, Indiana is a little bit of a basketball state.
That's the rumor.
It is the rumor.
Was there a movie made out of
that?
Yeah.
There was. You know, noticing a lot of these guys out here today, a lot of guys could be in central casting from that movie.
Oh, sure.
From the movie Hoosiers.
No, yeah.
So it has been great to watch. The one message that I think we're going to be able to take back to our local community is this is high-level basketball.
Good.
That the local community
Yes, sir. Thank you.
deserves to be able to get a chance to see. You know, Hoosiers appreciate high-level, fundamental, quality basketball, and I've seen some of the best I've ever seen in my life here this weekend. So
we're going to make sure to clip that and
Right,
use that
make a note
often
of that.
and often as possible. Kind of along that theme, and from what you guys said, you guys are going to be like a sponge and get into the weeds a little bit here.
Yeah.
What have you? I don't want to say what have you learned that you didn't know. That's kind of a weird question. But what did you guys gather that maybe you weren't fully aware of? It was part of the operation, because we should point out you have tenants, so you're certainly familiar putting on events, and you've done NCAA events.
Yeah.
You're not unfamiliar with that side of things. But what did you learn from your experience here this weekend that maybe you weren't fully aware of?
You know, one thing, I mean, it's very simple. I learned that there are a total of 10 referees that come to the event.
Yes. Oh, by the way,
for the weekend, and
you need rooms for them too.
we need a little bit bigger room for them in our arena. And,
oh, sure, yeah.
And it's one of those things where you kind of just, you know, maybe not think about, but when you hear that there are 10 officials that work the rotation of the 3 games, you think, oh, well, let's go back to the bid document and say, oh, you know, we have a little bit better plan for them. And I think that's just a very small example of one of the things that's been really beneficial for us to come and see. We've even gone to the hotels and checked out the breakfast buffets so that we can go back to our hotels and say, this is the expectation.
Okay.
Do it
I
better.
like this.
Do it
I
better.
like this.
Yeah.
And
it's
all about exceeding expectations. We have a very, very strong Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Okay.
They sent 2 people here for the weekend.
We should point. You're part of a three-person's team here who's in town.
And so we just wanted to soak up everything we possibly could. Salem is a beautiful city. Love this area. It's just gorgeous. So we're excited about getting this thing rolling. The national committee has just really, you know, embraced us in terms of do what you do, and we're really gonna do whatever we can to carry on this tradition.
What's your weather like this time of year?
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, we have cherry blossoms outside. It was windy, but it was nice today.
Yeah.
I will say today I got a report that there was freezing rain and sleet in Fort Wayne today.
I'm not that surprised.
So you know, but last week it was in the 60s. So you never know.
Wait 5 minutes?
That's what happens in Indiana. Wait 5 minutes, the weather will
lake
change.
effect snow get to you guys?
It does.
Okay,
It does.
so we'll keep that in mind.
We're
too.
about 2.5 hours from the lake.
You're just on that fringe, possibly.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
When you guys look at what you will do now for 4 years,
sure.
I'm not asking you what will you change, but what do you think you'll bring to the table that is Fort Wayne-esque, if that makes any sense?
Sure. I think it goes back to the students, creating memorable moments for them. Fort Wayne is the state's 2nd largest city. It's got opportunities for leisure activities that other cities don't. Every city's different, and of course, it all goes back to the student and the athlete, and giving them that really memorable experience. This is the pinnacle of their athletic career for the most part, and our job will be to just give them a lifetime of memories so that they can, take with them whether they win or lose, and that's the important part. So we're gonna just put a Fort Wayne spin on it, Hoosier hospitality, as they say, and basketball is a big part of it. So we hope to get the community involved, the corporate community involved, the basketball community involved. We have a couple different gyms in town that have basketball academies that have hundreds and potentially thousands of students that we're going to see how we can engage them and get them into these events. The national committee has told us crowd is A+ number one priority.
To have, yes.
And
absolutely.
And that's our number one goal, and that helps the experience for the athletes.
Oh, agreed.
So we're jumping in both feet, and we're excited to get started.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
You're welcome.
Wonderful to chat with you. I know I've chatted off camera
Yep.
with you a little bit, but it's great to get your point of view on something that we don't actually truly appreciate. I mean, we understand how it works.
Sure.
But to hear someone say what they're learning is kind of cool,
Sure.
too.
And, if I may, one thing we haven't mentioned a whole lot is Manchester University is the host for this, and they have been, up to this point, great partners. They will continue to be great partners for the venue, for the Convention and Visitors Bureau. They are really, really excited about this opportunity. They, the last time I believe they made the national tournament themselves was in Buffalo, and on that team,
Alfred's team.
That team, Jared Good, who is now their head coach.
That's right. Yeah.
So Coach Good, Rick Espizet, the athletic director, Mark Atkins, the sports information director, just been awesome people to work with, and we're just going to continue that relationship and move forward.
We have a tradition on this show where we always give the guests the final word.
right.
I just figured we'll keep that tradition alive as we now turn our focus a little bit towards Fort Wayne now. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuning in?
I mean, I just want to say, Indiana, the Hoosier State basketball, that's what we're about. We're very, very excited about bringing another NCAA championship event to Indiana, to Fort Wayne, and we just hope to have everybody visit next year.
Perfect. Thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's Nathan Dennison, part of the group that was here from Fort Wayne as we move there for 4 more years. Looking forward to being in Indiana. When we come back, we still got more to talk about with this game. We'll be joined by some guests with their thoughts on how it all went down. You're watching Hoopsville Courtside live from the championship post-game from the Salem Civic Center in Salem, Virginia. Back with more after this.
I coined my definition of success in 1934. My definition of success is peace of mind attained only through self-satisfaction and knowing you made the effort to do the best of which you're capable. It's like reputation and character. Reputation is what others perceive you to be. Character is what you are.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
It's on us to stop sexual assault
in any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all. It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
They have dreamed of this moment since childhood. The perfect shot. The key rebound. The game-clinching basket. Winning a national championship. The NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Championship, March 16th and 17th in Salem, Virginia. Be there. Visit ncaa.com/tickets today.
Welcome back to the Salem Civic Center in Salem, Virginia. Post-game Hoopsville Courtside live from the National Championship. Pat Coleman alongside myself, Dave McHugh, now joined by the play-by-play guy for the NCAA.com and a Division III grad, though I don't think he played any sports. It is Lincoln
Not
Rose
well.
from Washington and Lee. We'll say that much, but also, again, from NCAA.com. And, sir, your third stab at – is this the third time you've been here?
Third time with D3. Next year's going to be tough. I'll probably request the women's games down the road. I'm a Washington Lee grad.
Yeah, you want to come back to the
neighborhood. So a chance to be back in the Commonwealth of Virginia, but that means a little separation here when you're over in the home of the Mad Ants in Fort Wayne.
Maybe we'll send Dave here. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
That's a fair argument. They may be riddance of me, but you never know. But
No,
not
yet.
Not yet.
We'll ride you for at least another year.
Perfect.
Welcome back, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Speaking of bat,
yeah, exactly.
It's one consecutive year he's been here.
It's true.
It's true.
Your take on the games. I mean, I think you and I talked quite a bit off air too about just how kind of just all over the place the games were.
Well, we talk about, so 3 straight years here at D3 basketball, but I get to see plenty of D3, D2, D1 championship events, and as much as we build them up, we've seen our fair share of duds.
Oh, absolutely.
But you and I, we showed up yesterday with 4 teams, never had won a national championship. We knew this year you either had to have an all-purple field
right.
and play all the greatest hits.
The icon teams, right.
Half the WIAC and,
so
a
true.
few New England schools in purple. But
St. Thomas.
Or
Maybe,
you had to have a fresh look, and that's what we had this year. You didn't know how they'd respond, but all 4 programs showed up realizing they were 2 wins away from a national championship. Yeah. We had 2 games yesterday that they never wanted to get separated by double digits until right at the very end. We ended in overtime last night. And then today's game, both teams come out punch for punch, 3-pointer for 3-pointer. Yeah. Only one team could win, but that was as entertaining as you could go out with here in Salem.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there are years where we come here and you can stratify the 4 teams.
Yeah.
Like, this is the team that's back when we had a 3rd-place game. Oh, this team is going to go 0-2.
Yeah.
Or these are the teams that are going to be playing in the early game. And I think that's clearly what we did not have. And you talk about all 4 teams coming here. All 4 teams had to come here knowing this is our opportunity. Yeah. Especially because, 2 of them had never been here before. One of them had never been here before. One of them hadn't been here since 1991. One hadn't been here since 1997. This was a golden opportunity for someone new and interesting and fun to come away with the title.
It was teams that appreciated where they were, the opportunity that was within reach, and even players we saw who necessarily weren't the marquee name on a program that already had 7 marquee names.
Yeah, true.
And yet made the most of their 5 or 10 minutes, and they had a blast playing for a national championship here on this stage in Salem, something that we may not see for a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, true.
One of the cooler things I think you also appreciate isn't necessarily the 3 games that mean the most. You really lap up that all-star game to some degree, don't you, sir?
Well, Division III.
Yeah.
You and I grow up. I go
too, by the way.
up the road. Washington Lee. I'm familiar with his work. You're the new kid on the scene compared to this guy.
Compared to him, you're right.
And
you're
Rick.
Right. Look at you, Rick drop.
Rick Seidel.
But so
wow.
Me being a horrible athlete, young enough to realize I did not even want to pursue Division III. I got into broadcasting in high school. I chose Washington Lee because they said you can be on our radio for all 4 years.
Okay. Yeah,
so
I'll take that option
I
too.
knew that would give me 4 years to become mediocre. But you see your classmates, and it's incredible the hours they are putting in addition to all the academics that you're struggling with.
Yeah.
But they also have time for a full preseason, season conference run. If they're good enough, a conference tournament. They're missing their formals.
Yeah.
But they're putting in so much time, and when in that all-star game, we see the best of the best. Young men who are sat down in front of us. They certainly don't know who I am before today. They may have been following you throughout the year. We began a conversation, full speed ahead. Such mature young men, very eloquent, very focused on what they have accomplished, who is to thank for that, and also what they have in their future. We see that at D1, D2, but Division III, to see these guys, the all-stars, the seniors, able to appreciate the moments and that extra opportunity to wear their uniform, it's always a fun time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think one of the great things about that event is, the D3 kids are well-spoken, and that is not surprising, but not always well practiced, right? They're not getting a lot of those interview opportunities.
He had one who was too well practiced.
Oh,
he was staring at the camera the whole time.
I don't know if he knew that we were right there as opposed to back in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I thought maybe he thought we were in Indianapolis.
That's awesome.
No, that's true, Pat.
Yeah.
No, fair point. I think we had one guy who maybe wasn't as polished. But, I mean,
you talking about me?
I was talking about me,
okay.
actually. Yeah,
but
I mean, nothing against the guys in some other divisions like Division I, but one of the frustrations I have sometimes listening to those interviews is,
we didn't get any coach speak.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
No coach speak, and that really makes for a better chance to get to know the individuals.
Right.
You quickly establish yourself with each of them, referencing some moments that obviously you're aware of, following them throughout the year, and they were able to open right up and really. As opposed to saying one game at a time, because guess what?
There's no more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were able to look back at their careers and appreciate some of those moments.
You even got a couple of them with what's it like to see that uniform for the last time, and you could see.
Geez.
Well, no,
wow.
Yeah, no, Lincoln was on his game.
But how good was that game? That young man from Catholic, his mom, oblivious that he's talking to us, but Mama Howard is in the crowd. Watching the game, he is screaming, "Mom, I'm on the broadcast."
Yeah, he's trying to say hi to her, and she's ignoring
It's such
him.
a good game that she is focused squarely on the back and forth.
It took him a while. I don't think she knew he wasn't in the game at the time. I really don't. It was. You're right. That was a pretty outstanding moment. And I like my other favorite one was Brendan Freddie Ricci when I joked with him and said, "Hey, Coach is a couple, rows back. Has he been yelling at you during the game?" He goes, "No, if he has, I haven't been tuning in." I said, "How much were you tuning in during your career?" He goes, "I probably wasn't tuning in a lot there either." I mean, they let their hair down. It was fun. Before we let you go, final thoughts on, the games. Certainly, if you had any other than that, but this building from being a broadcaster in the ODAC as well, and having a chance to be here for some championships. Your final thoughts on this event?
It takes a lot to make this happen smoothly.
Yeah, that's true.
When we leave here not noticing little things that go wrong, it's like the duck swimming across the surface, but those legs just keep paddling so quickly, frantically, making it all look normal.
Yeah.
You mentioned Carey, and there's a guy who, whether it's softball, basketball, or the Stag Bowl across the parking lot, literally, he wants to make sure this is the best operation that you're going to experience as members of the quote media.
Yeah.
We're not left wanting for anything.
Oh, no.
Even though I had to go get y'all's beverages there during your marathon run.
Lincoln was a real nice guy for us.
Yes.
We appreciate his
college credit.
Go for it.
But
we'll get you an internship credit.
But he's not the only story like that. The members of the Old Dominion Athletic Conference putting this on, we've both had chances to mention that. Well, there was that one year they didn't have the championship final here. It went to Atlanta, but they went to Atlanta.
Right. They ran the show in Atlanta.
It wasn't the UAA. It wasn't anybody else down there.
No.
Peach Belt. It was ODAC goes down there because they embrace the D3 championship as their baby, and they want to make sure it continues in that successful run.
They did a job that year too.
And we know how to run it.
We know it won't be football, it won't be men's basketball, but there will be other events here for other people to have a chance to enjoy. I'm lucky. I'm not tied to one sport. So I'll still be signing up for baseball and softball
Anything
events.
that comes back through here so we can come home.
And, any opportunity to return back to the Shenandoah Valley.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Thanks for joining us. It was fun to call games with you, as always, and hopefully we'll run into each other again.
This is the part where I say nice things about you two.
If you have to. You don't have to. I mean, it's post-game at
I'll
this
say
point.
it until I hear the music playing me off. No, but
do we have music?
Everything we just mentioned about the guys behind the scenes making all the D3 events happen, what you two are doing to put the spotlight on young men who work so hard and young women who put in all the same hours as D1, D2, and yet they don't have the cameras and the attention on them. You get the excitement going, something for them to tune into, and you give them something to remember. And so I'm always lucky when I get to bump into you guys, the unofficial mayor of Salem.
Exactly.
Up for re-election, but I think he's got it.
I didn't bring my key to the city.
How they let you in,
I think it's like China now. He just has a lifetime ownership of that mayorship.
But you may notice Dave is actually, without meaning to, leans a little this way after 2 straight days of me just leaning on you for all of your Division III knowledge. But you guys are tremendous. I always enjoy throughout the year getting a chance to check in, and this is the culmination of all your hard work. And I know there's a lot of people at home who, if they haven't already tweeted or emailed, I'll give them your home address.
Thank you.
But I know they're appreciative of the hours you put in. Similarly, a non-scholarship.
That's true.
To make all this happen.
It's a great way of looking at it. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, sir. Appreciate the
Absolutely.
kind words. On that note, maybe we should just wrap up the show. We got plenty more to talk about. We got teams we can get out here. We'll take a break. When we come back, a little bit more here from the Hoopsville Courtside pregame, postgame live from Championship here in Salem, Virginia. Back with more after this.
I used to never really talk. Ever. I was scared and shy. It was hard to look at people's faces. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. I made friends and won lots of gold medals. but I learned more than just playing golf. Special Olympics helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Welcome back to the Salem Civic Center Hoopsville Postgame Championship live from Salem, Virginia. Pat Coleman, I am Dave McHugh. Now joined by the National Committee Chair, Tim Fitzpatrick. And, sir, loving the tie, by the way, rather apropos on the day.
It's Fitzpatrick's Day, Dave.
Actually,
something
I
like that, yes.
I like that title much better. First and foremost, sir, you got to be pretty thrilled with what you guys ended up having here for four teams and 3 outstanding games.
It was quite a tournament. It
Yeah.
really wasn't an apropos finish here in Salem. You know, it's always been a good experience being here, and this year was no exception.
Yeah. When you look back at this year that you've been the chair and some of the things you guys have tried to implement, whatever they are, whether they're relevant or not, I know you always want, as you say, to have the best opportunity here in Salem and to have the best weekend possible. And obviously, we want a tournament that but with the parity and the balance and the wide openness of it, anything is possible. And obviously, as we came into this weekend, we knew we had essentially 4 wild cards to some degree. It's not a fair representation entirely across the board, but that's what it felt like. Did you guys, what were the expectations for you coming into the weekend? Did you think you were going to have 3 really good games like we ended up getting, or did you fear maybe a little bit that, oh, this is a little out of balance?
Well, you're always optimistic about what it's going to be coming in, but I really felt like, knowing what I knew about the teams, that we had 4 outstanding teams that were going to be here and that we would have good games. You know, naturally, I think in each game you saw early success in some players and then early jitters in others, and that's very natural. You know, when you know you're on the national championship stage, whether it's in front of a few thousand people or in front of 25,000 people, the court's still 94 feet long and the basket's still 10 feet high, and it's still awfully hard to put that ball in.
Did you measure it?
Yeah.
Is that part of your job responsibility?
I had to do that at Tufts a couple of years ago.
It's Gene Hackman who does that, if I remember correctly.
Was Gene here?
That's right. No, I mean, it's
Tufts. Good callback.
Yeah, there's
that's outstanding. Yeah.
I was particularly impressed this year with just the time I spent around the young people from the 4 teams, just the really high character kids.
Yeah.
And even, you know, seeing it with Cooper Cook tonight at the end of the game, and I was teasing him about, you know, okay, I gave him the Elite 90 trophy. I handed him the national championship trophy. I gave him his he came out when he got announced to the all-tournament team. He came out and got his championship trophy. I told him when they graduate, if he wants me to come to Lincoln, that I would make the trip to hand him his diploma.
That'd be outstanding. If that actually happens, by the way.
Yeah.
I want video.
Yeah, he's a, they're just, I mean, and I could say that and did say that to every coach along the way, that I was just so impressed with the caliber of the young people that make up these teams. And that's part of the beauty of Division III. And I think it's really unique that you get to see it on this stage.
Yeah.
Because when you look at Division I, as someone who spent a long time in that end of the profession, you don't see that. It's very, very different, and I think what's really awesome is to have that kind of character on display. You see it in the coaches. I mean, Charlie Brock's post game last night was exceptional, and tonight even, you know, hearing the Oshkosh coach, the same thing. I mean, it's really, you know, that while these men are professionals, that this is vocational for them. And you can't always say that in every other realm of college sports. And I think when you can have such exceptional competition and still have those kind of values reflected in those kind of people, that's what you're here for. Cool. At the end of the day.
What kind of things did you guys do as a committee over the course of the last few years that you would like to see extended, improved upon, or just kind of maintained now that you roll off the committee?
Well, we did something this year that I think ended up being really effective, and we talked about it a little bit, on the day, I think it was the day after this committee was selected that you and I talked.
Possibly. I'm losing track of time.
Understandably. We really wanted to nationalize the field this year in terms of how we created matchups, and we really were able to do that. 11 of the 16 pods for the first and second round had teams from 3 or more regions.
Yeah, I love that.
And that produced some matchups that, no tournament is ever matchup perfect, evidenced by the situation we have found in California each of the last several years. And this year
but you had Maryville playing Nebraska Wesleyan.
I know, seriously.
Right. There's only one place in D3 you could do that, I'm pretty sure.
And we suspected something that I talked to young people about along the way, and that is that it's a different experience if you get on a bus and drive 450 miles versus going across town and playing somebody.
So too,
the bonding and the going to a different place and playing in a different gym and doing those kind of things. That was really good. I think in kind of a broader context, I was involved in what we're trying to do this year with elevating the officiating, with bringing Jim Haney in and just the work that he did, and even just seeing the enthusiasm for those guys coming in and working these games. And, that's something that we need to clean up in this sport.
Yeah.
And Jim's going to do it. Good. And I'm very proud to have been a part of that process. Jared Samples and I were both involved in the process of selecting the supervisor. And I think the hardest thing about it, awful lot of AQs.
Yeah.
There are tournament, and
it's mostly an AQ tournament.
What you need to do next then is go to the football committee.
Well, I'm going to I'm going to championships.
Yeah.
And my sport is football.
Yeah.
When I go to championships,
Dave told me that. You're right.
That's going to be exceptional. But this is a great game. There's always some things that we can improve. I've been kind of pushy about, hey, does this need to maybe be a 68-team tournament?
He's mentioned that to me off the air. I'm glad he's now mentioned that on the air.
Yeah, do we need to, maybe for those first-round games, because if you look at how population is distributed in the United States, 2/3 of the institutions in America are east of the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
So logically, if we could take that step, those matchups would be with teams east of the Mississippi.
Sure.
And you can see where maybe that might be a good idea, because we do have, I think Division I is 32 AQs, and we have.
Yeah, you and I figured out it was like 31 or 32.
We have 11 more.
And they have a little under 100 teams more than we do.
Right. So,
we have 100 teams.
The nice thing about this committee's focus was we were absolute from the beginning. It's, select the 21 best Pool C teams, bracket and balance the field as correctly as we can, and then run the championship the way it needs to be run to produce high-quality events everywhere. We had a little bit of a wild card this year with how we could deal with Yeshiva.
Yeah,
true.
But one of the questions that came up, we had a committee meeting Wednesday. One of the questions that came up was, do we need to push for something other than just night games all the time?
Please do.
Do we need?
We would like that.
How about
too.
stagger games?
Yeah, exactly? And I was a part. Last year at Babson, we were part of a split session because you had Tufts and Keene and Babson and
very popular.
And I think it was Christopher Newport that was also there.
I think, yes.
And so there's some. We have some of those situations where the fan interest is just extraordinary. There's just so many people, and but I think the state of the sport, I think, is healthy, and I think we can. I'm very, very proud of my colleagues because they did most of the work.
You're just taking the credit. I get it.
In terms of running this championship, I mean, I don't suspect I'll ever get a chance to present a national championship trophy. Now, the kid cut himself on it after we gave it to him.
Oh, no.
Cooper Cook cut his finger.
Cooper.
Breaking news.
It's the only thing he's done wrong this weekend.
Trainer said to me it's the only thing he had to do all night.
It's true. We didn't have any injuries. That's fair. Yeah, it was a nice clean game.
Take care of Cooper in the postseason. So.
You mentioned the times. You mentioned the interest of being at the game, but from the vantage point that we have especially, it's also great to see games across the country. If we could get into a stagger type system where maybe it's every half hour or every hour or something where games are rolling off, then we can tune into more games and we can see more finishes, especially this year where we had an astounding number of finishes this year.
Right.
And you're trying to bounce around. It'd be fun, and to mix it in with the women too, to try and find a nice little way of mixing and matching. Yeah, I think Yeshiva showed us that you can have a crowd at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday.
Yep.
Now, granted, Yeshiva was unique because they bring a special crowd to that, but you still have people who are interested in watching.
Well, and we even saw a great element of Division III spirit there. The people at York were willing to do that.
Yes.
Where it could have been very easy, and without going into any details of the bracket, there were some people who were not interested in doing that didn't want to do that. One other thing that this committee is going to do is, normally we wouldn't meet again until June. We're going to continue with monthly calls.
Oh, great.
Because we want to continue to dive into the data that we're given by the NCAA and how we're permitted to use it. And are there things needed to supplement that data? So this committee is going to, you kind of, in the past, you kind of gone dark for a few months. That's not going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like that.
We're going to continue to work because that's what the sport deserves.
Couple questions before we let you go. Two thoughts. One, you're rolling into the championships committee, as you mentioned. You're kind of double dipping, as I've said.
Stumbling, staggering. Yeah,
you've been in there already.
Yeah.
What do you hope to take to the championships committee from your vantage point of not only having been on now a committee for Division III of a sport, but also from that D1 background to some degree, that you hope Division III overall can maybe start to adopt or change or take in and use for their own?
The thing that occurs to me right away is placing perhaps greater trust in the opinion of committee members in individual sports because we know an awful lot. In fact, I had a interesting conversation with Will Hopkins while he was here this weekend about how different sport about lacrosse, about how the tournament limited lacrosse.
I'm going to walk away before I get angry. Go ahead.
But the number of participants in lacrosse that's allowed for the championships 32.
Right.
And I mean, geez, even at Coast Guard we have 46 kids on the lacrosse team.
Right.
And but the balance of do we really want to provide opportunity for kids to enjoy? If it's and they're liable to take my appointment away after I say this, but if it's really about the student athlete experience, does it really make a difference if it's 46 versus 32 and the institution wants to pay for the other 14? Right now that can't happen.
Right.
Yeah. So I
think
they
can go, but they can't be there.
I think because
sideline.
The balance point of dealing with student athlete experience issues is on campuses, and that's where I think we can continue. And not that there's a lack of advocacy at the NCAA. I certainly don't mean that at all. But
no, yeah, I know what you mean.
But just to be able to, make sure that fresh thought gets its fair day in court. One of the things that we do now that I participated in basketball that I'll be on the other side of on championships is we do state of the sport calls, where we actually talk into the championships committee about current things in sport the sport. One of the things that we talked about on my call was why can't we use RPI? We see it. We see it as a secondary criteria.
It's sitting there. They just aren't allowed to use it.
And it's a distraction.
Yeah. Either get rid of it off your screen or let's use it.
And the rationale that we were provided for it was understandable. It's, because of travel restrictions that exist in Division III because of finances.
You don't have the true cross.
The argument, in men's basketball, Arizona, St. John's can go play Arizona. They can afford to go do that.
Yeah.
Babson is not going to go play Whitman.
No.
Chances are. MIT's not going to go to Texas and play Lutano.
Well, you're not going to get enough. You're going to get some, but you're not going to get enough that number starts to become relevant.
Right, and I'm going to continue to ask the question, well, if we're not supposed to use it, why do we see it? I mean, I think that's just common sense. And the people, working with Liz Sucha in championships, she's terrific. And she is a true advocate for the student athlete. And that's what it's all about. I mean, if I'm never going to get a chance again, chances are, to hand a national championship trophy to
or
a coach.
injure the student athlete
or
in
a
the
kid,
process.
Yeah, and that's why I was determined. I thought, I'm going to give them
do it all.
I'm going to give them a big old handshake and hug their neck when they come out to get the to get their trophy, because this is the biggest moment of their lives. And I said that at the pre-tournament meeting the other day, that I wanted all the adults in the room to understand that it was about the young people, that it's not about the adults at this stage. And that I wanted people to savor the experience, behave maturely, and understand at every turn that it's about the players. It's really about the players.
My only final question was going to be, you guys would have made what would be argued a difficult decision to move the tournament to Fort Wayne. And I say
Very
difficult because of the tradition and the history and the quality, the bar that was raised and continues to be raised by Salem. we've had Fort Wayne on the show. They certainly are lapping everything up that they can. They want to do the best job possible.
I think it was good to have them here.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And I think they did a tremendous job getting all the information in. But, you know, not to go into all the minutia, as it were, but how difficult was the decision, and your final thoughts as you're about to walk out of the Civic Center?
Very difficult. This city, this region is made up of exceptional people that care deeply. They care deeply about the event, and just, you know, Carrie Harvey Cutter is a great example. They care deeply about kids.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, you may or may not be aware, you know, you saw we gave Kerry a special trophy.
Saw it, yep.
Last night. It was actually the second time we gave it to him. We gave it to him in front of his peers Wednesday night.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay. So they could see that. But that, you know, the analogy that I gave privately was that, you know, Salem's a 5-letter word and so is Kerry. And that really tells you the guys are the glue. There are many, 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 many wonderful people that work here tirelessly. And the fact that they will continue to host other NCAA championships going down the road, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we were back here again. I really wouldn't. You know,
they're certainly hosting other sports, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Salem's going away, period.
No. And, you know, we you know, you're obviously a tough decision, hard factors to balance. You know, we have a lot of travel issues going places. There's just 100 different things that you look at. And it was a very difficult decision. There was a lot of serious questioning, colleague-to-college questioning going on. But I think in the long run, I think for the game, it's a good thing to do. And that's no slight at all to these people here. No, they're tremendous people. And for me, I remember thinking at the beginning to be the chair that ran the 23rd consecutive Final Four in Salem was special for me.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time. You and I will certainly talk plenty. We love chatting and picking each other's brains. I appreciate the time that you give me. And I look forward to seeing and hearing your opinions as you rotate onto the championship committee.
I'll probably have a few.
And I look forward to – you brought up one of my sticklers. I can't wait to talk to you about that one too, though you know kind of where I stand. As always, we give the guest the final word. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks to you guys. I mean, you perform a service for Division III basketball that's phenomenal. And what you do, the two of you, to elevate the game, you elevate the game. And you've taken a unique advocacy position that other less determined people wouldn't do. And that's and I know I speak for the sport when I say that, the unique appreciation that people have for what you do, and the good news that you generate, and the good dialogue that you generate. The things that you and I share are always about. It's not about what's bad. It's about how to get better, and those are not the same things. It's not aimless criticism. It's something that's really important in the long run.
Well, thank you. There's obviously more than just us. There's Gordon and Ryan, and there are a host of other people as well.
Host of great people. Absolutely.
So we appreciate it. Well, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Safe trip back. Look forward to talking to you. Thanks for taking the time, as always.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Pat.
He is Tim Fitzpatrick, Coast Guard Athletics Director, we forgot to mention as well, rotating onto the championship committee and finishing up his term as committee chair on the men's basketball committee for Division III. We'll take a break, come back. You're watching the Hoopsville Courtside postgame show from the championships in Division III at the men's basketball here in Salem, Virginia at the Salem Civic Center. All that stuff back after this.
They have dreamed of this moment since childhood. The perfect shot. The key rebound. The game-clinching basket. Winning a national championship. The NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Championship, March 16th and 17th in Salem, Virginia. Be there. Visit ncaa.com/tickets today.
Cheer for the stumbles. The he shoulda had that's. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, and I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
I coined my definition of success in 1934. My definition of success is peace of mind attained only through self-satisfaction and knowing you made the effort to do the best of which you're capable. It's like reputation and character. Reputation is what others perceive you to be. Character is what you are.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor's Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all. It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
They have dreamed of this moment since childhood. The perfect shot. The key rebound. The game-clinching basket. Winning a national championship. The NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Championship, March 16th and 17th in Salem, Virginia. Be there. Visit ncaa.com/tickets today.
Welcome back live to the Hoopsville Courtside pregame, postgame, whatever show here from the Salem Civic Center as championship has been crowned. I feel like I'm getting pregame for another show maybe or another game. I've lost it. Dave McHugh alongside Pat Coleman for D3Hoops.com. We hope to maybe talk to Dale Wellman from Nebraska Wesleyan, the head coach, if we are able to arrange it. If not, we will have a wrap-up show of Hoopsville where we will talk to both winning coaches. We should point out, got a little note from Gordon Mann as the women's game is underway. And starters for Amherst have played the entire game so far. No substitutions. Apparently they watched the Nebraska Wesleyan trick and thought maybe that was their best opportunity to win. Who knows? 20-13 looks like the last score we got.
Yeah, well, I'll go check
but we'll double check it. But congratulations, Nebraska Wesleyan, as we wrap up our time here in Salem, Virginia.
26-23 Amherst at the half.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That should be a good one.
23rd time in Salem for men's basketball. 22nd title. Reminder in 13 we had the Elite Eight Final Four and then went off to Atlanta to crown a champion. Of course, Stag Bowl has been here for 25 years. And as a result, Pat has made 40 trips. And as I actually see, Mr. Dale Wellman will bring him up live here on the show, which is perfectly timed. Of course, it was apropos. Lincoln Rose said it, and we had discussed it on air. It was either going to have to be a tremendous all purple opportunities. I'm going to slide off a camera. Coach, come right up. We're going to do it live.
It's fine.
It was either going to have to be that, icons of all purple that have been in Salem, or in this case, we were going to have to bring in new guys. And I like the fact we went with all 4 new. And Dale Wellman, part of that new. I like the lid, sir. Very nice look.
Also, the D3Hoops.com Coach of the Year.
And we should remind everybody, Coach of the Year and for D3Hoops.com. By the way, decided on before the game. There was no pressure. You didn't have to win it to get it. Congratulations. I don't know if I would say that from what I expected, that was what I thought I'd see you play, but you guys certainly played darn good basketball here, and you basically adjusted to every game.
Oh, well, thank you. No, I mean, we put up a lot of points. We put up a lot of points all year, and we like to get out in transition, but we also like to, we talk two-tempo basketball all the time. We like to play a half-court game, too. I didn't think we were as sharp as we should have been yesterday until the second half, and we didn't give up. But today, Oshkosh brought out the absolute best in us. We had to execute everything perfectly on offense, and defense, we really had to adjust at halftime. We obviously stayed in the zone, but we needed to extend it and obviously find the shooters. They shot the ball unbelievable in the first half.
Yeah, they did.
So we like to be able to play a little different. We want other teams to adjust to us a little bit, but last week, obviously against Whitman, we got up and down a little bit more. But we're willing to play a little half-court basketball as well.
Dave is a big XL guy. I am a big picture guy, a big storyline guy. So even though this is going to be a little bit of a callback, I wanted to know what you guys thought throughout the course of the regular season. You guys are running up these, this gaudy record, and our voters are not giving it much attention at all. What was the reaction, just among your guys for not getting into the top 25 at any point?
Right. Well, to be perfectly honest, at the beginning of the year, we kept looking and we were receiving a few votes, and we knew we didn't have Shimonitz at the time, but we kept winning. And we got Shimonitz back, and we were trying to work him in and find roles for everybody else, and we dropped a couple games while that happened, and lost all our votes, but then we got things rolling again and started winning. And each week we didn't get any votes. And finally, I brought the team together because they were always talking about it. I said, you know what, guys?
Sorry, guys.
Screw it. Don't worry about it.
Perfect.
Don't worry about it. Let's go out, play for the guys in this team. And it was something we addressed, before one of the practice when we were standing on the baseline. Let's forget about that. Let's see where we are when the regional rankings came out. That's the important part. Let's keep winning and force their hand to put us at a high spot in the regional rankings. Do as well as we can. And I think once that happened, honestly, I didn't hear anything else about it. Regional rankings came out, and we were ranked each week, and then we were just focused on winning the conference tournament. We knew we didn't have a great strength of schedule, and part of that was because of our location. And it's tough. It's tough to get some good teams in there to play. And part of it was that, that schedule was completed last November when I had 10 freshmen on the team and was getting ready to start 4 freshmen. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to have this year.
Yeah.
If you had asked me, 19 months ago, was this going to happen? I would have said, you're crazy. I'm getting ready to – I just lost 6 seniors and we're bringing in –
player of the year, yeah.
Right.
Justin's winner.
Justin's winner. I'm getting ready to start, 3 freshmen and transfer. So, so we forgot about it a little bit, and then once we got in the tournament, obviously it was just, hey, let's take care of ourselves. And
didn't matter at that point.
Right, and we wanted to make a statement. We wanted to make a statement, and fortunately we were able to play some good teams, and the rest is history.
You said something interesting to me in the past week where you said it was too bad WashU had lost, that you guys kind of wanted a statement game. And I almost kind of was dumbfounded because I'm like, I think you've had some statement games. The win over Platteville, for example, the win over Whitman was mega statement game. What did you mean by that, and what were you trying to get from that?
Yeah, well, we obviously hadn't played Platteville or Whitman yet.
Okay.
So, at that situation, I'm sitting there watching, watching the Aurora WashU game, and it was, Aurora obviously played tremendous basketball. But that was it, going into WashU to their to their facility, and they were ranked, I forget what they were, top 5, top 6, whatever.
4.
I think our guys, we weren't looking past Maryville at all. But once we won that, it was, hey, let's knock off WashU on their home court. Such a good basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously we had to, we went back and switched focus, and was able to beat a good Aurora basketball team. But so that those Platteville games and that Whitman game hadn't happened yet. So then it was all focused, and I've said it a few times. I think our guys came out just laser focused the next weekend with Platteville, and we, obviously we didn't know if it was going to be Whitman or Stevens Point at the time. But they were really looking forward to that weekend, and I think it showed by the way we really played there.
You have an interesting team where you have multiple people who can step up at any given time. I can suspect there are some coaches who would pull their hair out when they see Boots not having a good game when he just had a great game, followed by maybe somebody else not jumping. I said Boots. Of course, he's from Titans. I'm already losing my mind.
I thought you were using that as a metaphor. It was great.
It actually works, but not in the right team. But, for example, Shimonetz maybe is having an off night, yet the night, the previous game he was having a really good night or whatever. You don't have, for lack of a better word, the consistency of always knowing who your go-tos are. What's that from your vantage point? Is that a frustration, or is that almost a blessing because someone's going to hit it at some point in the game?
Right. I go into every game knowing that we have enough guys. I mean, I think, throughout most of the year, I don't know how it ended, we had 6 guys that averaged double figures. So each game out, I knew if very rarely are 6 guys going to go out and play their absolute best game. So I know someone's going to have a bad game. But I know that other guys are going to step up. I think we might have had one game this year where we didn't have, more than like 2 or 3 guys just play a good game. I think we're talented enough that 4 or 5 guys can have that, and maybe not all 8 or 9 guys that we play. So even Nate Boss come off the bench and put up 24 and a half. Dylan Dirks has come off the bench and had some big games. So we know that we're relatively deep, and I think it's a testament to our guys too. I think if some of these guys were on some other teams, they could average 19, 20, 21 points a game, but they're willing to sacrifice some of that scoring, because we are deep and other guys can take shots. We don't rely on 1 or 2 people to make the big shots. We call plays for everybody every game.
The program and the athletic department obviously was dual members in the NAIA and in Division III for many, many years, and then a little over a year ago decided to be fully Division III and step away from that NAIA membership. But what does it mean for you guys in the program to have really validated that decision with this run this year? Well,
yeah. First of all, absolutely. I think it was, especially with the basketball alums and a lot of the alums I talked to, they were all for it. I mean, and even when we had the dual affiliation, I've never really thought of it too much as a switch. I mean, we switched conferences, but we've always played by those Division III rules.
Right.
And, my mentality, having been a D3 guy, basically my whole career and my whole life. And the school really much thinks of itself as a Division III school, even when we were playing in the GPAC and the NAIA. So, it's nice to vindicate it a little bit, but I think a lot of that, and obviously it was more than just a men's basketball decision when we decided to drop the NAIA side. But I think basketball is obviously, a popular sport, so I think it definitely helps. But in terms of vindication, I think we had very few alums that were against dropping the NAIA side. And I know on men's basketball, our men's basketball team, a lot of the alums played in this tournament. Played in the NCAA Division III tournament. So they have fond memories of Division III. So it's been really nice.
Do you think this encourages maybe any of those NAIAs in your area to maybe reevaluate and understand that maybe there's an option there, and maybe D3 is, because we had a wave for a while, then it kind of plateaued out a little bit. I almost wonder, does this kind of tell your neck of the woods, maybe there is an option there?
Yeah, and I guess I really can't speak for the other schools around there.
It was remained anonymous because it was not authorized to speak on their behalf.
Right, there we go.
I don't know, but it's maybe they do see it. It's really nice, and the NCAA puts on a great Division III tournament, and it's run really well. And we had the opportunity to go to the NAIA national tournament, our last year where we had the dual affiliation, so I can kind of compare the two. And it's been an unbelievable experience these last 3 weeks in NCAA Division III. I mean, I'm glad. I obviously am biased, and I think we went with the bigger, better brand going to the NCAA Division III. But those schools have their own philosophies, and we'd love to have some Nebraska or buddies. Or,
yeah, I was going to say, get teams closer to you.
Yeah, get some games right there. But
that was my unintentional hint.
Yeah, no, it's. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I think it's an interesting time in NAIA basketball right now, so we'll see what happens.
I know another good place to get games. It's in Las Vegas, the week between Christmas and New Year's.
I've driven that one on.
I'm sure.
Yeah. On air, too, I believe. Yes. So we'll see you next year.
Yeah, come on out sometime. Keep us in mind.
How many of the former coaches that you were an assistant under are now taking credit for your success here in Salem? Has your phone blown up yet?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I just checked a second ago, and it was well over 130 texts, and and it was it's pretty amazing. No, but it's been great hearing from all coaches, all alums, all friends of the program, and it's been unbelievable. But no, it's been nice to hear from the coaching fraternity. And the first time I was here was in 2003 when I was an assistant at Kenyon College, and I was able to watch Williams win a national championship that year, and Dave Paulson, and Dave actually sent me a text this morning. He didn't take any credit for. He doesn't need any. No, he's doing fine by himself. But it was it's kind of come full circle a little bit, so it's been nice.
Well, congratulations on the win. Congratulations on the title. You got a heck of a group there if you can only play 7 and they can contribute and produce like they did on back-to-back nights. Fun to watch you guys. That defense is one that I got to start figuring out. That one had me certainly impressed. But congratulations nonetheless, and especially congratulations for winning in all kinds of different ways. You aren't a one-trick pony, as they say. You guys certainly know different ways to win. As you know, we always give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuning in?
A couple things. Number one is I've talked about what a tremendous tournament it is. I felt really fortunate to play some good basketball teams. I mean, it was unbelievable. But I think a cool thing about this too is I was able to meet some unbelievable coaches as well as some guys that I wouldn't normally meet. I mean, I've talked about Oshkosh today. Pat's been an unbelievable guy just here in the 3 or 4 days. And Eric last weekend. What a classy guy he was. And obviously, we won both those games, and those guys were just absolutely classy. And everything from WashU to the way it was run in Platteville to the way it was run right here in Salem and what the city does here. I've said it before, Fort Wayne's has a lot to live up to next year because it's really nice. And the other thing I want to do, I touched on my wife earlier, but I wanted to make sure that Brady and Tessa, I wanted to say their names online. That's my son. Who watched tonight. Tessa might have watched. Well, I don't know. She's not as big of a fan of basketball as Brady is, but wanted to make sure I got their names on the air a little bit too, because they're obviously my biggest fans.
Perfect. Awesome. I understand that sentiment entirely. I know Pat does as well. So again, congratulations on a national title. Very impressive.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you try and defend it next year, and maybe you see you back at Fort Wayne. And I know we'll talk plenty between now and then.
Sounds good. Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it.
He is Dale Wellman from Nebraska Wesleyan. We'll take one final break. When we come back, Pat and I wrap it up here from the Hoopsville Courtside live at the Salem Civic Center. Back with more after this.
They have dreamed of this moment since childhood. The perfect shot. The key rebound. The game-clinching basket. Winning a national championship. The NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Championship, March 16th and 17th in Salem, Virginia. Be there. Visit ncaa.com/tickets today.
Cheer for the stumbles, the he shoulda had that's, and the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
Welcome back to the Hoopsville Courtside Live from the Salem Civic Center. We'll say it from the final time here on men's basketball's championship weekend as we wrap up this live show and the last of our live shows here from the Civic Center in men's basketball. Pat Coleman and I am Dave McHugh, and congratulations again to Nebraska Wesleyan. Nice to talk to Dale Wellman, though a little more subdued than I expected. He seems maybe it hasn't hit him yet.
Well, it is almost an hour after the game.
That's
too,
true.
So
yeah, the high is probably gone. As
the cooling off period is really
really
down.
cooled.
Yeah.
They are already vacuuming up the confetti here at the Civic Center as we get ready to wrap up this show. The goal was to stay on to the women's game. I'm kidding. We're not staying on to the women's game is over, but we hope you can go over there, maybe check out that game when we finish up here. Pat, first and foremost, the tournament. Well, hey, it was a fun and exciting tournament. To be honest, we knew it was going to be wide open. We knew there was legitimately probably 30 teams that could make a legitimate argument to say they could get to Salem and vie for a national title. That's not just trying to blow smoke. It really felt that way even when I looked at the bracket on that Monday. We got a wide open tournament. We got a fascinating final weekend, and we got teams that earned this championship. It made for a fun tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you go into a tournament in an average year or what you might call a normal year, and you might think, yeah, there's 12 to 15 who could really make Final Four runs, and then there are 4 or 5 who you think could win the championship. And, we knew that was not the case this year, that there were 4 or 5, and then there were another 4 or 5, and then, another 4 or 5, and probably another 4 or 5 after that. And that was what made it all so unpredictable. If you didn't think the tournament was going to be unpredictable, on the opening night, we have 2 crazy last-second wins, 2 crazy upsets, and then a third one that's not so crazy but still an upset at the end of the night. 3 of the top 5, 6, 7 teams in the poll are out after the first game. That really set the tone for what we got here, which was just a fantastic display of 3 weeks of Division III basketball. Yeah, I mean, you talk about the incredible win by UMBC over Virginia in D1, and I also went and thought, well, Aurora knocked off WashU. It wasn't a 16-1, but, yeah, we even had that kind of craziness. This tournament, which made it fun. It also meant I couldn't not look away from the computer. I was going to have to pay attention at all times and at all costs. Yeah, I think we had basically 2 15-2 upsets. Yeah, roughly. Bethany Lutheran may have been a 16 over a 2 just because of geography. But that's that's the kind of tournament we had. That conference has done that a few times. It has. Yeah, that's why you can't look them over. Yes. We will move on to Fort Wayne next year. You and I have. By the way, open tournament, it's a nice thing on the basketball side versus some other tournaments that we cover, just for the record. But hey, there was a nice thing that they kept Nebraska Wesleyan and UW Oshkosh on opposite sides of the bracket so this could happen. Exactly. I'm encouraged moving forward. I'm going to miss Salem. Yeah. I'm maybe back for other championships that I help cover, but I will miss Salem. I will miss the hospitality. I will miss this admittedly old and aging facility. Nathaniel Dennison pointed out that it's an older facility in Fort Wayne, but they poured $50 to $60 million into it. I'll be blunt. The city of Salem doesn't have $50 to $60 million over any course of time to pour into this building. They have done what they can with it. That's why we're going to the Krager Center in women's basketball, among other reasons. They have a nicer, newer facility by many years. This is on its 51st year. But I'm encouraged
what we've seen and heard and witnessed about what we may get in Fort Wayne. It's not going to come without its bumps. Let's be blunt. That's impossible. But I'm encouraged. Whereas some other tournaments that are moving on, we have gotten far less encouragement. So I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
And that's not a slight to anybody, but that's a good feeling to have leaving here. That, you know what, we're probably in decent hands still.
Yeah, it's a really high bar to replace Salem.
No,
and
impossible.
If you come in here and you don't understand what it's about, and you can't articulate what your plans are for the tournament, and you can't even really articulate what you're here to observe, then we have to have real doubts. This was not in any way reflective of what the Fort Wayne, Nathan Dennison and his group from the Fort Wayne Visitors Bureau did this weekend. I'm fairly confident that it's going to be, that they're going to do, first of all, that they're going to do their best, that their best is going to be really good, and I'm hopeful that people show up, because that's the missing element. So maybe
I agree with you. Yeah.
Fort Wayne being a little bit more centrally located, would bring more people. If you imagine these 4 teams in that venue, it probably would do better, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. No comments. They only started looking at this 3 months ago. They've been looking at this for years.
Yeah.
And they also have experience from doing this in other sports, I should say, is what I was getting at. So nice to hear from that, but that's my kind of segue towards, this is the swan song. We should point out Carrie Harvey Cutter and John, I always forget John's last name. Shaner, thank you. Are actually at the Women's Championship, because that is what they host next, and they want to show to the Women's Committee that they are on board already with that in 360 some odd days. But this is the swan song for the second marquee in a few months for Salem. Again, they've got 1 or 2 in the spring. I'm pretty sure softball is one of them, and I think the other one's lacrosse on the women's side. And they will have other championships. They've already been named. We know women's basketball next year, then 2 years after that, and there's other sports, et cetera. But this is one of the 2, Pat, that changed championships in Division III and the rest of the NCAA. This isn't just a D3 thing, folks. D2 has experienced this, and D1 has stuff in place that had come from this city as well. This is one of the 2 marquees that set the stage, set the template, broke the template many times, and rebuilt it again, raised the bar, as you said. It's bittersweet.
Yeah, they made, like I said when I talked with Carrie Harvey Cutter on the set last night, they have made Division III what it was. I know a lot of people have said that about us, but if not for what they did, embracing us as a very young organization, and me as a 24-year-old, long time ago, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing now if Salem hadn't, embraced us, B, fought for us, C, suggested new and awesome things that we could do that we probably would not have had the audacity to ask for.
Yeah,
and
I absolutely agree with you.
And then that's just us. Then all the stuff that happened out here, and for all of those kids for all of those years.
From our point of view, what they fought for us on both the football and the basketball side, insisting we're on the field for pregame show the final 2 years we were here, and basically telling the committee and the ESPN they're going to be there and you're going to deal with it. The car doesn't look right. Don't worry about it. And I mean that seriously. Hoopsville Courtside, I know we kind of had the idea, but then Carrie and the group absolutely ran with it, and then are in our ears going, how about, what do you do this?
We'll build you a
stage.
We'll
build you a stage. You know what? We don't like where you are. We're going to move you to a better location. They moved us to a better location. Yeah. They have pushed us to do better, and if that's this much, they're pushing for everything to be done better for the student athletes. Yeah. This is all about the student athletes. The pictures that are put up at the locker rooms hours after they're taken. I mean, a Fort Wayne guy, it was Nathan standing next to me when all of a sudden a couple of the Civic Center guys on Thursday came walking by me with a huge picture that he knew had only been taken maybe 2.5 hours prior. And he goes, is that a picture from today? I said, yeah. He goes, where are they going? I said, putting it up on the locker room wall as they enter the locker room. He goes, in 2.5 hours? First there were 2 things. First, he was impressed, and the second thing, he went, "Oh no,
that's another thing for the checklist."
But that's what Salem has done, and in turn, the NCAA has also pushed them in many ways to keep the bid here. I think there was some give and take, and Salem did that. But the people in Salem and Roanoke Valley in general, Roanoke, because we actually stay in the Roanoke section of this valley to enjoy this, have been amazing. You always are treated nicely. You have great experiences. People say hello. They know why you're here. Yep. They congratulate the teams. The community service is outstanding, and the teams lap it up. I mean, Whitman last year had to spend extra time here because there was no point in going home and coming back out.
That's right.
And the community made sure they got their laundry done because they didn't have any extra clothes. They didn't pack for 10 days on the road. They went and got their laundry done. They took care of everything they needed to take care of as if that was supposed to be the plan.
Right.
So hats off to Salem. Hats off to the Civic Center crew, by the way, as the Nebraska Wesleyan team is still around.
Coming back out.
Yeah, coming back. I'm not sure where they're headed, but that's pretty fun to see. The Civic Center crew, by the way, is awesome, too. They do yeoman's work around here even when things go sideways.
Do we have the wide shot?
I think they're going for – no, they're – I think they see some banners and they want to get their banners or they want to get picks. Who knows? Anyway, we're going to wrap up with that note. We will have one more Hoopsville show to wrap up the season. Unlike last year when we tried that and the computer finally said, no, we're done. I feel bad for GP Gromacki. I had him on the phone when the computer basically blew up.
I still have that post-game interview from last year if you want to use it.
Right. Yeah, we tried. So we will have one more show sometime this week. Bear with us. It'll either be live or we'll pre-tape it and just put it together. So stick tuned with that. Pat returned for your 40th trip to Roanoke Valley of some sort. This was my something 30th when I count them all up, counting other sports. So it's been fun. Any final thoughts before we sign off, sir?
I feel like I've spent almost half a year here in my life. It's just been a fantastic experience. 40 trips here, so many championships, seen so many great things, made so many great memories, met so many great people.
Oh yeah, best friends.
Have had people who were part of this production for years and years, and then haven't been anymore, but still were part of it. Chatted with Rick Seidel a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
When I first met Rick Seidel, this 20-year-old kid who's over here producing our show was a baby. That's to me, it's mind-boggling. I tell Keaton this. I tell a lot of people this, but I took over then Division III basketball online, D3hoops.com, and put it online the day that Keaton and my wife, Kate, were in the hospital the day after Keaton was born. And so every time I think about how long I've been doing D3hoops.com, the physical manifestation of it is this 20-plus-year-old over here
college
who's
student.
A sophomore at a non-Division III school.
That's the problem with Keaton we need to deal with.
Nah.
Transferring to Catholic, right?
No.
Just kidding.
GW is a great school.
Oh, Goucher. You can come to Goucher. That was a shot at him.
I meant to give
Marymount.
I meant to give Jay Howard an opportunity to give you a hard time about Goucher.
Yeah, you didn't slide that in.
No, I took it easy on you.
Yeah, it's okay. I would have taken it. I gave him a softball. I said I've seen you play many times.
Yep, but it's been a great experience, and I will miss this terribly, especially since I'm not 3.5 hours up the road anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know when I'll get back to Salem, Virginia. I'll probably come see like the second of those women's Final Fours just for old time's sake, because it has been such a fantastic time, and I'm really going to miss this. And I probably won't get super emotional about it till
maybe
a walk out for the last time.
Yeah.
But it has been, it's just been a huge part of my life. Almost more than half of my life, I've been coming to Salem.
So many people may not know, when I was looking at colleges, I actually looked at Roanoke College. I loved Roanoke College. I thought it was a wonderful campus. There was one problem. They didn't have a baseball program. They actually now have a baseball program, and if anybody really knows the story, I ended up not playing baseball in college. I played a different sport at my alma mater. But I came to this neck of the woods, and I certainly loved it. I found it very nice, but it just didn't work out. Never in my lifetime did I think I'd be back in this section as basically a second home. I've lived in several parts of this country, and I never thought the southwestern corner of Virginia in the Roanoke Valley would literally be a second home. My wife does not know anything but me going to Salem. We will be married 10 years come May. I've been making 18 trips here just for basketball. I know ID1 like the back of my hand. I can probably drive it blindfold, but let's not try it. The only person I know who's gotten in trouble on I-81 is Gordon Mann, who got stuck in a blizzard on I-81. I got wrapped into football lovingly with a slight headache, but it's because Salem, and that means that much. But more importantly, Salem was the trigger to realize how much Division III means to a lot of us, and especially me and the student athletes. It's awesome that we get this opportunity. It's crazier that the 2001 championship, apropos Catholic, was my trigger here, but it was cool because I got to know the people who were there, and we got to see. I knew the teams involved, and I knew the team that was winning it, and I could relate. That was a very helpful trigger, just for the record, for me going, oh, I'm coming back, and I'm coming back. So it's going to be weird to move on. That said, again, I have a lot of confidence now in Fort Wayne that I may not have had 4 or 5 days ago, but hats off to Kerry Harvey Cutter. By the way, people don't realize how much work the ODAC puts into this. Brad Bankston and J.J. Nekoloff and their entire ODAC staff, which isn't a lot of people, but it is a staff.
And staff going back decades, too?
Yeah, and people that they've hired. Yeah, Molly, for example, that we haven't had
Chris Cummings.
And Chris Cummings. Oh, great reference.
Stacey Weston.
Yep. And then the ODAC sports information directors and athletics directors and others who have stepped in as well to help with football and basketball or whatever the case may be. There's a huge crew. And then you've got the Salem Civic Center. You have the city of Salem. You have the families of Salem. This has been wonderful. They have set the bar in Division III. I'm glad to see that Fort Wayne is interested in keeping that bar as high as possible. I look forward to being in Indiana, if should that be the plan, next year for a championship. But again, it feels a little weird that I won't be making at least 2 round trips down I-81 and back up for any sports here in Salem. In the meantime, you better go check out the women's national championship when we sign off here. There is less than a minute and a half left in the third quarter. Amherst only leads by 3 over their NESCAC rival Bowdoin. So check that out. A D3 guy on the call, and Brendan Gulick and Gordon Mann are part of our crew in town, as well as it's now, by the way, 40-36. So that will sign off for now. Again, one more Hoopsville on the air. We will give you, stick with us on Twitter at D3Hoopsville and hashtag Hoopsville. Stick with us elsewhere as well as we we'll update you as to when that show is. Thanks to Pat Coleman, Ryan Scott, who helped us. Thanks to Keaton Coleman for all the production work. Why is it the last year in Salem we finally get production help? Thanks to all the guys we mentioned in the ODAC.
Take that,
in the
Will
city
Black.
Of Salem. There, oh, Will Black, love you, Will. Thanks to everybody, even at this Turner, Tupelo, Raycom, CBS Sports, who also helped elevate these weekends of basketball. Thanks to everybody who helped us put these shows on. Appreciate you taking the time to tune in. You, the fans, we appreciate it as well. We say goodnight from the Salem Civic Center for one final time in the 2018 season, and maybe the final time in men's basketball as well. Good night.
Can I turn the lights out on this?
Sure. Good night from Hoopsville. Good night from the city of Salem. Good night, everybody.